Hi Fairies, willkommen beim Winx Forever Podcast. Sei gespannt, wenn die Erfinderin, Moderatorin und lebenslanger Winx-Fan Lola Valentine über die magische Welt des Winx Club Universums redet. Egal, ob du ein Winx-Fan seit der ersten Stunde bist oder dich an die Serie aus deiner Kindheit erinnerst oder wenn du Winx gerade erst kennengelernt hast, willkommen. Das ist der Winx Forever Podcast.
Hello, fairies, witches, and specialists alike. Welcome back to the Winx Forever Podcast. I'm your host, Lola Valentine, and we are making our way through the whole first season of Winx Club, episode by episode. Today, I get the honor of discussing Season 1, Episode 3, Alfea College for Fairies, with my dear, dear friend, Stella, or better known as her Winxfluencer. That is a Winx influencer account on Instagram. Fairy of Magic, Stella, welcome back to the show.
Hi, thank you for inviting me again.
Of course. Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure. Are you excited to dive into this episode?
Of course I am, because it's also my first ever Winx episode I saw.
This is so serendipitous. I love it. So there's so much to cover, as there's a lot of key things that happen in this episode. So I'm super excited to dive in. So I guess let's get started with the synopsis and the episode title. So Winx Club Season 1, Episode 3, Alfea College for Fairies in the right English version, but in the 4Kids version, it is called Save the First Dance. Does it have a different title in the German dub?
It does, and it's called in German Die goldenen Eier, which means the golden eggs, which I also find quite funny because in Italian it's originally called L'anello di Stella, which means Stella's ring. So we have so many different episode titles. And what I also find funny is that the Italian dub is with the episode title, they're putting the main focus onto Stella's ring,
right?
But the German dub puts the main focus on the enchanted eggs.
Yes.
And the Ray dub just talks about
it's so
Alfea in general.
Yes.
I think it doesn't make even sense. But the 4Kids dub is the whole episode is mostly about the dance. So that makes also a lot of sense.
Yeah, super, super interesting. I did not know that about the Italian and German dubs. So wow, it really helps when you have the living Winx encyclopedia on your episode. So thank you for gracing us with your Winx knowledge.
You're welcome.
So the synopsis reads, Alfea hosts a welcome party for new students with the boys from Red Fountain. This happy occasion is almost ruined by the sudden attack of the witches. Bloom shows great potential as she saves the day and is given a true hero's welcome. That is such a interesting episode synopsis. What is the I don't know, the last part really throws me for a loop. A true hero's welcome. Are we talking about at the end where she's everyone's looking at her walking into the dance?
but I don't know what the translation would mean. A hero's welcome. What does that mean?
Think have you ever seen Star Wars?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In the last scene of A New Hope, where Chewie and Luke and Han Solo are being awarded medals, that's they're well-known heroes. They saved Princess Leia, and so it's a hero's welcome, very
that's more the end of the season,
right
when they celebrate the fight. Okay.
Yeah, very interesting. So is this your first time? This is not, I'm so silly. This is not your first time watching the 4Kids dub, because you have the DVDs of it, correct?
Yeah, well, I didn't watch all of the episodes through. because
Okay.
I'm a little bit lazy. But of course, I watched that 4Kids episode.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. Well, hopefully, maybe while we do this rewatch, this will convince you to watch it all the way through because 4Kids
Yes,
is
I really want,
low-key so good.
because I now have all of the first season DVDs of the 4Kids stuff, and I really
Yay!
want to put them in. Like, I mean, I could watch it on YouTube, but I love
Yeah.
to throw in some good old DVDs.
Yes, I know. It's like, it's so nostalgic, just like opening it up and like just remembering. I mean, I have like my DVDs, I wore out as a kid. Like I rewatched and
Mm-hmm.
rewatched and rewatched them
Yes.
to the point where like some of the, it's so bad. I have to be so careful with them. Some of the episode or some of the DVDs have like the plastic around the middle like is a little cracked.
Yeah, really?
From how much I've like watched them over the years. So
Crazy.
yeah, I need to be careful with them.
Mm.
So cool. Well, let's get into this episode. We are going to go scene by scene and kind of discuss everything about it. So we open up to the first day of classes at Alfea, and they are in Professor Whizgiz's class, and he teaches transformation studies. And so he's like demonstrating the ability to transform into something, and he transforms into Griselda, which I think I think that's such a funny one for them to like use as an example, because like obviously like we got introduced to Griselda in episode 2, and we understand that she's like this like strict like lady head of discipline that you know, like it's just really funny that that they chose like that character, because like obviously the students are going to know who she is because they like are probably already terrified of her. So Whizgiz trying to like, you know, keep things light on the first day is like really nice and very, very Whizgiz of him.
Yeah.
But so the students applaud this fantastic display of magic, and then he says that they're going to start with the basics as he like makes these magical mirrors appear on at their desks, and the students are tasked with the challenge of trying to change their hair color. I feel like this is like a very advanced step. Like, is there something like I don't to me in my like earthly knowledge of magic, I don't know how easy would it be to just like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. Like he doesn't give them any instruction. He's just like, you know, like close your eyes and like focus real hard and like try to change your hair color.
Yeah, but I think from what I feel like when watching the episodes, you first see Bloom, who's an Earth girl and who doesn't know anything about magic. But the other fairies like grew up with magic, and they probably already like experienced some kind of magic. And when they were like old enough and the parents said, oh my God, now you're ready, you go to Alfea, they expand their abilities of magic. But I think like in their world, changing hair color would be one of the easier things to do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, you're so smart. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because that because that would like, yeah, explain why Bloom like did struggle so much with it. And like that's like a big part of this first part of the episode.
I mean, in the first episode, she wasn't even able to unscrew like the pencil Stella made into one.
Yeah, and Stella even mentions that like that's a simple exercise, you know, and so like yeah, I really love that. Like our main character, and that's one of the things I love about Winx Club in general is that the main character, like Bloom's, you know, arc is so like transformative, and the fact that she grows so much into like this powerful fairy, like, but she's so inadequate. Like in the first season, it's like really cool to see. So everyone can, like we just alluded to, everyone can do this simple task of changing their hair color, except for Bloom. And so back at the Winx dorm, Stella tries to help Bloom with the class exercise, but she's still really struggling with it and can't do it. So in the 4Kids version of this episode, I feel like Stella is way more supportive of Bloom, who obviously is struggling with like this whole new world of magic. I don't know. Like, is there any like differences in the scene between the two dubs and the German dub
No, I think the German dub is exactly the same like the
as
Ray
the Ray?
English.
Yeah.
Like I listened to both of them and the words are like almost the same.
Yeah. That's
So
crazy.
yeah.
That's absolutely crazy. But then like Flora also tries to help Bloom feel better. And then the girls like explain to Bloom like why they're at Alfea, because, you know, she asks them like, why are you guys here? You know, like, what are you hoping to accomplish with your time here? And Stella like tells them briefly about how she wants to bring back together estranged lovers, starting with her parents, which I feel like this is like very an awkward place to like announce this. Like, this is the second day, like we all know each other. This is like the first day of classes, and like you're just like out here like spilling all the tea, Stella. Like, what are you doing?
So that's a thing I don't think would be a wrong place or time to say, because when I watched this, like, I mean, that scene was like the first scene I ever saw of Winx.
Yeah.
And it was like such a deep moment for me. Like, I didn't know anything about what previously happened and what the series is about, but I just saw that specific scene and I was like, wow, that is so deep and so magical. And now watching this, I think like for me, watching the series, especially as a kid, I think it is a proof or a step of having trust into the other girls. And I also feel like that they already had like a strong bond, and that I don't know, I feel like if someone tells me something like this, I feel like they really trust me, and that makes everything very friendly and somehow open. And I think it's somehow kind of sad that 4Kids cut the scene out, because it is quite important, because we got to know something about Stella.
Yeah, that's true. I do think though, like the bigger payoff in the 4Kids version, because we don't learn about Stella's parents until episode 8. For the, I don't know what it's called in the right English dub. Yeah, the Day of the Rose
episode. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like it's to me, I feel like that's a little bit bigger of a payoff, because and of course I'm biased, but it's also like that is a big moment in the 4Kids dub for me, because not only like does Stella share about her parents, but like Musa shares about her mom and how, you know, she, you know, passed away and stuff. So it's like that moment in that scene is like very like special to me in the same way that this scene is special too. So that's really cool that like we can connect, you know, similarly on different episodes and different dubs, but like, you know, the same like level. So that's really cool. Let's see. So the next morning, Flora and Bloom arrive for breakfast at the dining hall late because Bloom had overslept. And this is a scene and detail that 4Kids dub left out, because instead of this scene happening, this scene just happens a lot differently in the 4Kids dub. So as they're eating breakfast, Farragonda kind of like has this announcement that there is going to be this annual ball that happens, that it's where they invite the specialists from Red Fountains and they exchange a ceremonial gift. In the right English version, Farragonda says that the Red Fountain School is a school for magicians. And I don't think that that's correct. Like, what happened, Cineloom? Like, what happened during the dubbing of this? I didn't What do you?
I think in general, in the beginning, they somehow said that the specialists would be also somehow magicians, but
Yeah.
in the end, they never were magicians. Maybe it was
Right.
kind of an idea.
Right.
I mean, Saladin is a magician.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And he's a teacher there. So.
Yeah, interesting.
But you totally left out that in the 4Kids version, Farragona has a husband.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because she goes, what?
She's like, I remember my first dance at Alfea. I met my husband there.
Yeah, like, who's your husband?
Girl, I think that this is just my headcanon. I think that Farragonda, had a husband. He probably like died because he was like part of the Company of Light and probably like died in the fight against the ancestral witches. And so now she's just like single and fancy free, like being headmistress of Alfea, and flirting with Saladin and freaking Hogan from, or what? Hogan. Oh God. Hagen from Secret of Lost Kingdom. So yeah. LOL. Farragonda is high key a player and I love it. And also she, in the Right English version, she announces that she's canceling classes for the day so that the students can be in charge of decorating. This is something that 4Kids did not include at all. I always assumed that this kind of like blew my mind. I always assumed that the ballroom and the dining hall were two separate places in Alfea. And I never realized that they were the same place in the castle.
Oh my God. Now that you say it, yeah.
Never occurred to me. I also think it was very interesting. This is the second day of classes, like, I don't think that Farragonda, like is just like, oh, by the way, we have this traditional ball that we're throwing. And all of you have to like decorate. Like, no, like this is a long held tradition. This event probably has been like planned for months. Like they're not relying on these little freshmen fairies to decorate for this ball. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, but that is, in my opinion, it's somehow similar to the, what did I say, with the hair color changing situation. Yeah. To me, it's not that unusual that a school or teacher, whatever, would tell their students in the beginning, like, to get to know each other, like, you're free now to do whatever you want, like, get your creativity going on, and I trust you, like, you're old enough, they're like 16 years old. Yeah. So, I mean, we could analyze it and make up things, but in the end, we need to admit that sometimes maybe certain things are not very logical.
That's true. I do think that, granted, like, even though I don't like, I think that I realize why like 4Kids kept it out of their dub, but I do think that it is a good, like, part of the episode where it like shows all the girls' personalities in a way. Yeah. Because like Techna's like, I can't believe like school's, canceled just for a ball. And then Muse is like, well, I'll provide music. And then Flora's like, well, I have flowers, so it's like a very like, it shows everyone's personalities really well. So I think that that's a reason why like, it's there, like the purpose for that scene. But like you said, like not every scene has to have a purpose. So, meanwhile, Cloud Tower's headmistress, who is announced as the head witchstress, in the Right English dub, which I thought was hilarious. Griffin, she explains that the fairies have snubbed Cloud Tower, and she decides that, they need to like wreak havoc on the fairies' ball. I have a note here that just says, I didn't like Griffin's voice. Ew.
You know what? I read your notes, and when I read that she's announced as head witchtress, it blew my mind because after almost 18 freaking years, I now finally understand what they are saying in the German dub. In the freaking German dub, you know, they like they tried to like translate that wordplay thing.
Yeah.
In German, it's for headmistress, the German word is Oberdirektorin, and the German word for witch is Hexe. And they made up this word Oberdirexe. Like they
That's amazing. They tried so hard.
Like, yes, and I'm like you know, I have all of those radio plays you can listen to. I will listen to it like when I went to bed, etc. I was laying there and always wondering, like, am I too dumb to understand what they're saying? Like, is that a word? I don't know. But now I understand.
It's the word they made up.
Yeah, like I don't like it. It sounds so stupid. But
it's really hard too, because like the Rye English obviously is translated from the Italian, and then other dubs took the Rye English and dubbed their dubs based on that. So like we are translating it 3 times. So it's like things like that are bound to happen just because that's how translation works. So yeah, that's really, really funny. That's so interesting.
In like our dub, she wasn't like, it was not planned. Like she doesn't like somehow know that they're making this ball again. And she was like, Alfea is having a ball again, and they invited these specialists, but not the witches. Like that is so mean. So she had as a task that the witches should think of something to destroy the party, and the best witch may win.
Yes. In the 4Kids dub, they said Griffin, that line, she goes, "May the worst witch win," which I think is hilarious because like it's they got to be like bad because they're witches. I love though in the Rye English, because the 4Kids dub has completely different like official soundtrack. So rewatching the Rye English dub has been really cool because I'm hearing all these, you know, like soundtracks that I've never heard before. So when it had that establishing shot of Cloud Tower with like the organ music, it was so iconic. And I was like, this is really witchy. Ooh.
I love the music so much. Like, I think this is one of the main reasons why that show is so appealing to me, and was at the first glance because of the music and everything.
Oh, it's so magical. Yes, I love it.
Du hörst gerade den Winx Forever Podcast.
So Stella says that she'll worry about what to wear because clothes are important too. And it flashes to the girls getting dressed up for the party at their dorm. And like, first of all, love the gowns, love their first season ball gown looks. Like they're all so stylistic and like perfect for each fairy. I just, they're so iconic. But Stella is like talking about how she was shopping and she found this perfect dress, and it was just like calling out to her to buy it. And so she bought it. And then Tekna mentions that she like doesn't, what is the exact line, because it's something, and then Musa's like, well, why are you dressed like an absolute diva? Like, I love the roast, Musa, but like, what is it that Tekna says?
It's because Flora says that she thinks they're cute guys from the Red Fountain. Yes. And Tekna's like, who thinks about guys? And Musa is like, why are you dressed like a diva? And Tekna is just like, I'm just dressed for the purpose.
Yes. Like you dress for the occasion. Okay, Techna. Okay.
Yeah.
Like sure you do.
Yeah.
Sure. LOL. But then Bloom says that she doesn't have a dress and like, asks like, is it okay like if I just like wear this? Like, Bloom, how do you not have like some kind of dress? Like what's going on, girl? So then Stella says that there's an answer for every problem, and to this one, shopping. So she and the girls go to Downtown Magic's to go shopping for a dress for Bloom. And when Bloom has trouble finding a dress because everything is way too expensive or just not her style, Stella offers to pay for her dress, but then Flora stops her, saying that Stella might offend Bloom. But in the 4Kids dub of this episode, it was because earlier Stella had mentioned that she maxed out the credit card that her father had given her, and that's what she used to buy her dress. So then instead of Stella saying you might have, or instead of Flora saying you might offend her, she's like, you can't like pay for it. Remember, you said you maxed out your credit card. So I thought that was a very funny like moment and differences in between those. Is there anything different in the German dub, or is it pretty much verbatim for the Rye?
It's the same, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
But to be honest, somehow when I was younger, I was like, why would it offend someone if someone buys your dress? Like I would be here for it.
So Bloom continues to shop while the others return to Alfea to get ready for the dance. And luckily for Bloom, she finds a sale and she starts to search. In the Rye English dub, I cannot deal with the music, this little like country, like honky tonk music that's happening. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I find it so funny. Like this is the like funny music. Like when something is so ridiculous, they also have it. I think in episode 5 when when something is burning in the kitchen.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I haven't watched episode 5 yet. Okay. So that makes sense. OMG, that's so funny. Yeah, it's wild because I know that I've seen scenes and multiple scenes from the Right English version, but I've never watched them all the way through. I don't know if that makes me a bad Winxer, but like whatever. Here we are. But it's so funny to me, like getting to experience this whole different version that I have never experienced all the way through like this, and to think that this is someone's only version of Winx Club, which is absolutely wild. Oh my gosh. So in this sequence, there are a lot of places where it looks like the girls' mouths are moving, but there's no voiceover. But in the 4Kids dub, they actually added a voiceover to those sections in the shopping scene, which made, in my opinion, it made it like flow better. Like it like kind of
I think I like it better as well, especially at the end where Bloom finds the dress and she's like, 80% reduced, 90% perfect, or
yes,
so
that's
funny.
So cute. I love it. Yeah, 4Kids has a lot of really cute like little sayings like that here and there, which I think that land really well in the dialogue. I also love the like montage, of this sequence for 4Kids, like with the song, like it's
I wanna be with you.
Yes. Which is also one of the songs that they
Sensational Magic.
Yes. Yes.
I love that.
It's my favorite. And Sensational Stella is like one of my only sensational like dolls. So like it's so special.
She's the best. Yeah. Also, I don't know if it fits here, but it's just something that I saw the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, you will discuss more episodes from season 1, and there was a video suggested on my YouTube page. They showed the differences in animation between 4Kids and the like original one. Yeah. For example, in one episode, Bloom is putting a hair mask on Stella's hair.
Yes.
And you could clearly see that the stuff is green. but in like our original version, Stella's hair isn't green at all. But
Really?
for kids edited it and made it green.
That's
Like
really funny.
there are some of those like animation mistakes which they were aware of and they like made them better.
Right.
And that's what
Yeah.
I really admire about this stuff.
Yeah. And then there's also ones that they still completely missed, like Flora's undershirt in episode 4. The Black Mud Swamp, it keeps changing colors between green and red. That still happens in our dub, which is hilarious. So yeah, like I love that. Like it's funny to see the things that they edited and the things that they still like kept in, the mistakes that they still kept in. Like, I wonder like what happened. I would love to like, I don't even know how, but I would love to one day find one of the people that worked on the 4Kids dub and like the remastering, the re-editing, the voice direction, anything. Like, I would love to talk to someone about it. Like, what was going on in the studio? Like, tell me everything. Because I want to know.
So interesting. Yeah.
It would be so amazing. So Bloom found her perfect dress that is 80% off and 90% perfect. And the other Winx are getting ready. Meanwhile, at Cloud Tower, Griffin had just given the Trix her permission to ruin the Alfea ball. So Bloom hurries back to Alfea with her dress in hand, and she tries to DIY her dress before heading to the party. Like DIY stands for like do it yourself. And it's a very common like early 2000s trope of like altering like a piece of clothing to make it like a new piece of clothing or something like that. Like there's always this like, it's a very popular like in like early 2000s like girl power movies or like, whatever, where the main character or someone close to the main character alters her outfit and like she becomes like the stunning person because of like the altered outfit. I don't know. It's just really funny to me that they like put this, sort of like scene in this episode because it is very early 2000s. It makes me so happy because it just fits right in with like the pop culture of like things in that time. So she's like trying to find a way to alter this dress. And so she's unable to find scissors. So she decides to use her powers to cut the dress, which like, Bloom, what are you thinking? Yeah. You are a fire fairy. This is not going to end well. And it doesn't. She accidentally sets her dress on fire. And while she's trying to like put out the dress, she hears like the guys at Red Fountain arriving, and she's like, well, I got to figure this out soon. In her panic, she like puts out the fire, is still looking for scissors, can't find them. And this is when she runs into the Trix in the tunnels of Alfea, which this scene is really funny to me because the Trix are like in this tunnel at Alfea. They are following this map that Darcy's holding, and it's dark. They have flashlights, whatever. Bloom, for some reason, goes into this, random
dark room.
Random dark room looking for scissors. Like, first of all, girl, you're in a school full of magic. I don't think that there's going to have any scissors in there. Second, what are you doing? So, but then she opens the door and she hears the Trix's voices and she recognizes them. And then she quickly takes cover. But like seconds later, after she leaves, the Trix are like literally right in front of her. I'm like, girl, they definitely should have heard you. Like you are not being discreet. The Trix enter Alfea, and as they walk around the hall, they notice a Red Fountain coat of arms on this chest, which they open and discover the ceremonial gifts that the boys are going to give to the students of Alfea. So before hatching their plan, they search for Stella's ring in Alfea using Darcy's powers, and it shows this vision in front of them of Stella and her taking off her ring and where she placed it in her room, inside of this little like shell ring case, which always thought that was like so cute, and I've always wanted one like shaped like that in that color.
That's so pretty.
I think, yes. So once they found the ring's location, that the Tricks place a spell on the enchanted eggs that they found, and they're just like little magic eggs that like fairies touch them and then they turn into like little like magic butterflies, and they're so pretty. But instead they place the spell on it that when a fairy touches it, a snake rat would hatch out of it and bite everybody and be very bad. In the right English version, there's no real explanation as to why Stella is not wearing her ring at the ball, which I thought was very interesting. But in the 4Kids version, when she's like showing the girls like the dress that she got, she mentions that her ring doesn't go with it. So like that kind of like makes sense. Like, oh, well, that's why she's not wearing it, because she doesn't think that her ring goes with the dress. So that was just a very like interesting detail that I noticed that 4Kids kind of like slipped in there to like make sense of like why she wasn't wearing it. Also, in the 4Kids version, bells typically rhyme, which is really a funny like thing, that in the right English for me, the spells sound so weird because none of them rhyme.
Yeah, it's the same in German.
Yeah. So like so they do rhyme in German?
No.
Oh,
and I think also because I grew up with a like series called Bibi Blocksberg.
Yes.
She's also a little witch. Her spells also do rhyme.
Yes.
So I also think they should rhyme at least a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Like not maybe as cheesy as the ones in the 4Kids dub, but like to some extent, like I feel like it's just, it adds, so much more magic to it. Because the spells and incantations.
Poetic.
Yes.
In some way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like it's a very like pop culture thing to like think of spells having to rhyme. So I guess that's where that conditioning comes from, of us thinking that spells and incantations have to rhyme. But yeah, it's just something magical about it. I don't know. But the Tricks are very unaware that Bloom is overhearing all of their plans and everything that they're doing. So after setting the spell on the gifts from the Red Fountain specialists, the Tricks depart to watch from afar. So they like post up like in the bushes, like outside of the ballroom, where like you can see inside of the ballroom, which I love the design. I've always loved the design of Alfea. It's so unique and beautiful. And so like the fact that the ballroom has like this like huge like back like just set of windows that are like the whole thing's windows, and it's all like hexagonal and like beautiful. Like I can only imagine like what, because with our new discovery that the ballroom is also the dining hall, like I can only imagine what that looks like, eating breakfast in there in the mornings with the sun coming through. Oh, that'd be so pretty.
But if I now think about it, in the episode with the Day of the Rose,
yes,
they're also in that room, and when they're sitting there,
it doesn't look like it at all.
Musa and Stella, they're just like normal windows, also in the PlayStation / PC game.
Oh yeah,
the room is like not this couple globe thing, the soft thing.
I don't know then, because in the right English, Farragonda definitely said we're going to turn this dining hall into a ballroom.
Yeah.
I am confused. Eugenio, explain. Because I know you definitely he doesn't listen to this. Anyway. I'm reading my notes. I haven't read these in a minute. So as I've mentioned in previous episodes, in the Rye English, there are a lot of scenes that did not get put into the 4Kids version from the Rye English. So a lot of them are like kind of like unnecessary little like awkward moments that like don't have any dialogue or like don't like really add anything to the story. So 4Kids just like snipped them out. This one in particular, when the tricks are like running away, that I was dying laughing when I was watching that scene because the 4Kids dub didn't have that at all. In my opinion, like I feel like just it makes the story flow so much better than like we didn't need that little shot of just like I died. That's so funny. What the heck? So Bloom quickly goes into the ballroom without like her dress on or anything. She's just like, in her normal Bloom clothes. She bumps into Brandon, which, spoiler alert, if you've never seen Winx Club, Brandon is actually, his name is Prince Sky. And I get so confused when talking about these, first episodes when their identities are switched because but so Bloom bumps into quote unquote Brandon. And though she is happy to see him, she leaves hastily. And he's a little bit confused. Like, you literally just got here, like you're already leaving. And she finds the others and she tells them what she heard of the tricks casting the spells on the eggs. So the 5 of them quickly perform a counter spell and they return the eggs back to normal. Just in my opinion, the counter spell in the Rye English dub was also underwhelming because in the 4Kids version, it was so like enchanting to hear them like have this whole like rhyming, like sequence. Like is just very nice. Like I don't know, like what it once was, let it be again, like just wasn't, it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
But then Prince Sky, which is technically Brandon, the quote unquote Prince Sky, hands Stella an egg and she takes it kind of like wearily, like, did our spell work? Like, should I take this? But then Nisa takes it and she has like this plan to get back at the tricks because Flora is also like having the same idea. So Misa hands it to Flora and Flora mentions that she has been studying Professor Palladium's lesson very like closely or like very well or whatever. In the 4Kids version, the spell that Flora cast on the egg, she learned from a fictional magazine in the 4Kids Winx Club world called Teen Fairy. That specific magazine is actually referenced a lot in the 4Kids dub, which I think is really funny to like establish like there's this teen magazine because like in the early 2000s, teen magazines were like, I don't know if they still are, but like they were like so big. And like, I mean, I still have all of my like Bop and Tiger Beat magazines with like the Jonas Brothers on them and stuff. Like it's, like
yeah,
so many.
What I find a little bit weird? I mean, since they have just their second day of school, like, how intense was that first lesson?
They must be in some like AP classes, like higher classes, they must be like double, like AAA students or something. If they're learning that advanced spells like on the first day. So Bloom inquires as to what Flora did to the egg, and Flora said that she'll tell her later and that she should go hurry and get changed because she doesn't want to miss the party. Like, yeah, like this party's been going on for like so long. Like the party's going to be over by the time she gets there. And the episode's not even over yet. Like, We're not even there yet. So outside, Icy is like, furious yet. So outside, Icy is like furious that the Winx Club counterspelled them, and they focus their attention on what they were really there for, and it was to get the ring of Celeria. So Bloom is hurrying to the dorm, and she's trying to like still figure out this whole dress thing, and she notices that Stella's jewelry box is like levitating just out of her room, which like wasn't Bloom there when they were literally hatching this whole plan of like Stella's ring is like what we're here for. You know, remember like the tricks were like literally looking for it, and Bloom was there listening to the whole thing. And she even told the Winx like they're actually here for your ring. Mm-hmm. Why did they think that this was over? Why did they think like, oh, okay, cool, I'll just go get ready for the dance? No, go find the tricks, go beat them up. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, wow.
I never thought of that until just now. But so she chases after the box, and it falls to the ground, and the ring of Celeria, though, is still floating and being taken. But Bloom, for some reason, I don't know why this irritates me so much, but Bloom in the first season, I don't know if it's like this in other seasons, she is so, her little catchphrase is like, good heavens. I hate that. I hate that so much.
Okay, that's a thing we don't have in the German dub. I really, really like Bloom in the first season in the German dub. Yeah. I love her voice so much. Oh. The voice actress does such a good job. And she also said it was like her first job, voice acting.
Wow.
But over the seasons, I start to dislike her so much because also the voice actress makes her so like annoying. Like she's so, I am the leader and you listen to what I say.
Yes.
And I don't like it. In the first season, she's so cute and insecure. Yes. And I also don't really like the Ray English voice of Bloom.
Yeah.
I feel like somehow I feel like she doesn't really have a lot of emotions. And is so like, I don't know.
And I don't know if that's on the voice actors or if it's on the like director, you know, like who is directing the voice acting. So yeah, it's so same thing with the 4Kids dub. It's so different hearing the two Blooms, because Bloom and the Rye English is such a little goody two shoes sounding like little, I don't know, like breathy, good heavens. Like I hate that. Yeah. But like in the 4Kids dub, she is like this like badass, like little teenage kid that's like kind of spunky and like funny and awkward and like, you know what I mean? Like she, I don't know. It's just like such a different like take on the same character.
Also in the Italian dub, which I sometimes listen to while I fall to sleep. I also like her voice a lot. I think she's like more on the stronger side.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the voice fits so well. Yes. Like it has a lot of character.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, like in the German dub, because this is the same for the 4Kids dub as well. Like first season Bloom is my favorite Bloom, because after that she just gets annoying. Yes. As all get out. Like, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's all the like me attitude in season 2, or if it's the, you know, like again, the me attitude in season 3. But it's so like season 1 Bloom and Secret of Lost Kingdom Bloom to me are like the same Bloom. Like they have the same vibes, the same energy. Like I don't know what happened in between there though. Like,
but I mean, for you, there isn't like a 4Kids version of the
I know, it's really sad. Bloom continues to chase after the floating ring case when she jumps to grab it, not knowing that the tricks are in the bushes watching her. And so Bloom's meddling only makes the tricks even more furious, and then decide to deal with her once and for all. They start to attack her and they steal the ring. eventually from Bloom, and Bloom is stuck. And I love in the right English, Flora can see outside and see that this is going on. Why is Flora the only one that notices this? Literally everyone can see out here. Like,
That's true.
Like literally this whole party is going on and no one could like be bothered by like Bloom getting witched up by all these like cloud tower witches outside. Bloom, the Earth Girl who can't even do a basic hair change color spell. Like someone help this girl. So Flora like can see what's happening, but before they can come to Bloom's aid, Farragonda unintentionally like interrupts them and like is like stalling them, saying something about Musa performing a song for the Red Fountain guys, which like what? Needing to protect herself, Bloom transforms for the first time ever. And she like was hanging off this like deep crevice that Darcy created in, the ground casually. And she's like really trying to like hone in on her magic when she transforms. And this is just such a powerful moment because she like transforms and she's there and like fire's going on around her and like her hair's going crazy. And it's just it's so iconic. Like, what was this like for you watching it for the first time as your first episode ever?
It was incredible. To be honest, I don't remember 100% if I watched the episode through after I like switched into it.
Yeah.
But watching her transformation and hearing like the original song, the German song, when I was a child, I was like, how does she know what to do when transforming?
Yeah, honestly.
I'm like, okay. But it like I love the transformation song so much. I love the German lyrics. I think it's also in the Italian version that they switch up the lyrics a little bit. And I think it's very, very sad that the 4Kids dub doesn't have lyrics for transformation songs.
Yeah.
For Bloom, she starts to sing I don't have any fear because my fantasy is a strong sword. I believe in the magic which holds us together, and nobody can take us apart because we are the wings.
Oh, that's so
like
sweet.
The translation. Yeah, translation. Oh my God. And I love that so much. I remember riding my bicycle around my home village, and I would sing it all the time.
Yes, that's so sweet.
And that made me so strong because I felt connected to Bloom a lot as a child because I also wanted to be a fairy. And I was like, okay, if Bloom can do it, I can do it too.
Yes. That's so special. I love that.
How is it for you? Like have the comparison with the transformation song. And how was it for you hearing the transformation music from 4Kids, but now be able to compare it to the original one?
I definitely don't have the same like nostalgic connection to the Right English original transformations music, but I do understand like why it's so like powerful and strong for a lot of people, because it is like, I mean, you can't go wrong with like such an iconic moment, but then also like just paired with the music, like it's so magical. I love it. I think that the 4Kids using just a like clip of the theme song for the transformation is like not a cop out, but I think that in American TV, especially in American media, repetition is very important, especially when establishing a serial series like this, where each episode builds off upon each other. And so reiterating the theme song over and over in the 4Kids dub is a very strategic move in American media, because they are trying to establish that repetition of the theme song so that it's more recognizable when it comes on. And so So I do think that is like, why they probably chose to not like have a specific like transformation song. But I think that, that the 4Kids community did lose out on a lot of, the magic of the transformations by not having them. But it's fine. We survived.
And now you have the best of both worlds.
Yes. And that is like the most magical of all, is like having like these two dubs that I can enjoy like simultaneously is like amazing. So what a time. Bloom transforms, and it's really funny that the Tricks are like mocking her. Like, that's a cute fairy outfit, Bloom. Like, it's not going to help you though. You're still just a little pathetic Earth girl. And like, to their point, yes. But because I think that this scene, how it ends, like Bloom figures out how to fly. Cool, great, But then literally like Icy just has this crazy ice blast from, whatever. And then they leave after they get the ring. And Bloom is like, like crawling out of the bushes, like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I did it. Girl, what did you do? The Tricks got away. They have the ring. You transformed. Cool. You didn't do anything besides that. Really cool sequence. I mean, it is a very like magical like moment, Bloom transforming for the first time. So Bloom manages, like I said, to get away. And the Winx finally come to see about her. And like, great, thanks guys. The Tricks are gone now, but she tells them that the Tricks got away with Stella's ring. And that's when Flora reveals that Stella's ring is actually safe, and that she doesn't have anything to worry about. She still didn't tell her what she did to it yet. But Bloom finishes adjusting her dress, finally finds a pair of scissors. Don't know where she got those. Maybe she found them in the bushes outside. Maybe that's what she was doing.
It was the gardening scissors.
What if it was though? Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. Oh, perfect. Maybe that's what she was referring to. She's like, oh, I did it. I found scissors. So Bloom finishes adjusting her ball gown, and she meets up with the girls. And finally, that is when Flora tells Bloom what she did with Stella's ring and why it's safe and all that. Flora actually placed a magical spell on the ring where she replaced it with a duck egg, which is really funny because back at the dorm, Icy is inspecting the box. They open it and they find the egg instead of the ring. And that's when she gets Pepe the duck. We love Pepe. We stand Pepe. Yeah. And so that obviously makes her mad, clearly.
But what I always wondered, this egg inside of the box should probably be the same egg as the ones from the Red Fountain, and they are way bigger. How does it fit in there?
Right. Yes, I know. I guess it was part of the spell Flora cast, but yeah, it was like very like, Also, the Tricks cast that spell, Darcy cast that spell where they saw that vision of where Flora put her ring. Obviously, the ring wasn't in a freaking egg when they saw that vision. So they're like, why would she keep it in this? You got punks. Yeah. In this scene where Bloom is like talking to the Winx Club, talking about like what's going on, what's happening, like what happened with the egg. Flora is like, explaining to her whatever, and they're telling her, everything else she missed, especially in the 4Kids. That's like a big thing. Like she doesn't, like, she's just like, what did I miss, like, at the party, basically? And they're telling her like, oh, well, Prince Sky flirted with Stella, and Farragana asked Misa to sing for the guys, and Brandon asked where you were. And then Stella's like, he did. And then that's when Brandon taps Bloom on the shoulder. They dance together and they exchange some dialogue. In the 4Kids dub, I like the dialogue between them in this scene better than the Rye English, because the Rye English I think that he says like, you're not going to run away again now, are you? And she's like, no, I'm, staying right here or whatever. And in the 4Kids version, Brandon, quote unquote. That's going to trip me up this whole season. Brandon asks Bloom, well, are you liking Alfea? And Bloom says, yeah, I'm starting to feel right at home here. And then the music plays and then it fades out and it's so magical. So that is the end of season 1, episode 3, Alfea College for Fairies / Save the Last Dance / what was it again in German?
The Golden Eggs.
The Golden Eggs. Amazing. That's the end of the episode. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the major events that happen in this episode, as well as share some fun facts comparing the Right English with the 4Kids and the comics even. Ooh, so stay tuned.
Wenn dir diese Folge des Winx Forever Podcast gefällt, folge der Serie auf deiner bevorzugten Streaming-Plattform, damit du bei neuen Folgen benachrichtigt wirst.
Hey guys, we are back with our very special guest, Fairy of Magics, Stella, the walking Winx Club encyclopedia herself. And we are discussing season 1, episode 3, Alfea School for Fairies / Save the First Dance. We are discussing the Ray English versus the 4Kids. But first, we're going to look at some of the major events that happen in this episode and kind of what the significance of them and what they will mean for the future of the season as well. So obviously starting off, we have the introduction of the Alfea traditional formal dance in this episode. This is a big deal because we see the girls' different outfits for the first time. Well, Stella's already had one outfit change already. We've also seen their Winx outfits, but their gowns are iconic. They're so gorgeous. Which one is your favorite, like, first dance dress?
I like all of them, but I think the most romantic one is Flora's.
Yes.
And I don't know, I love Musa's so much because it's different. It's not a dress. But it's so Asian.
Like pants and it's so, it's very Asian inspired. It's very pretty. I love it. That was definitely my favorite one growing up.
In comparison, I think Bloom's is a little bit lame, but I mean, since she DIY'd it.
Right. She DIY'd it. She's from Earth, so she's not really like fancy, flashy magic person, yet. So it's like, I feel like we start to see like, as the seasons go on, like she starts to become more immersed in the magic culture, and she does kind of start to wear more, like magic things, like, in her dresses and the things that she wears. So I think that, that's, I felt very underwhelmed when she entered the room. We're like, oh, that's what we did. Okay. But I loved in the Rye English where Farragonda is like, like Farragonda, what? Girl, what?
Maybe she's proud that Bloom found the gardening scissors.
Yes, definitely. She was like, oh yeah, those gardening scissors, really did the trick.
Maybe Farragonda has a relationship with a gardener going on.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past her. Lady is a player and I am here for it. Farragonda is like literally like probably the sexiest Winx Club character ever. Like, and I stand by that. But also, this is the first time we get to see inside of Cloud Tower. I mean, we've in the 4Kids dub, we've seen like a couple of like previews, up until this point, with the Alfea Magic slide globe that Stella shows Bloom's parents in the second episode, but then also in the first episode in the 4Kids when Stella is describing to Bloom the different schools and magics. But this is the first time we actually get to see like, school happening in the halls of Cloud Tower. We get to see, like inside inside the main hall, I guess, or the main tower spire, I guess. I don't know. And we meet Griffin and Cloud Tower, and the witches play a significant role in this season. I mean, we're being introduced to so much. We're being introduced to the whole magic world. So it's only natural that, like, you know, that plays a big part. But I wish that they had a bigger role in season 2, and I mean, like, and 3, really. Like season 2, like the Winx got to, you know, attend classes there, but I don't know, it was a lot more fun when, like, the main villains were from Cloud Tower, and they were, like, you know, like, they're actively as students, and it's very nostalgic, like getting to relive these episodes and being like, oh my gosh, like, this is the first time we're seeing Cloud Tower ever, you know. This is the first time that the Winx ever do a convergence spell, which is really cool, and they don't really call it well, do they? I think Stella calls it like, let's converge our powers in the 4Kids version. And it's really cool because, like, it's the first time we're seeing the girls, because in the last episode, in episode 2, we saw them individually using their powers, but this is the first time that they're, like, you know, like, teaming up, combining their powers to, like, overcome evil. Like, that's, in my opinion, that's really cool.
I also like scenes a lot which are not part of the actual main story.
Yeah.
And which show a little bit of the magical dimension and of the girl's personality. Like, I think we are missing much of those scenes in the overall series. Yeah,
I agree. And I feel like that's why the fandom, you know, takes such, like, pride in, like, helping build out the world of Winx Club, like, with, you know, different stories that people are creating, different comics that people are creating. You know, it's like, it's really cool to see, like, the fandom get so inspired by this magical world that we don't really get a ton of interaction with in the series, but, you know, we can kind of, like, gather the knowledge that we do get from the series, and then we can piece it together, you know, and kind of, like, fill in the blanks, which I think is really, really special. Also, major event, Bloom transforms into her fairy form for the first time. And this is the first time we ever see her fairy form. This is the first time she ever sees her fairy form, you know, like, can you imagine, like, how the mechanics of that work? Like, what is your fairy form? How is it determined? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I now wonder, did she ever stand in front of a mirror looking at herself? Like, right. Does she really know what it looks like?
Right, exactly. Like, I don't know. Like, do any of the girls know? Like, is it like
probably Stella?
Probably, yes, definitely Stella. But, like, it's yeah, I definitely that night after the dance would have, like, been, like, transformed, like, checking out the fit, you know, like, what like, what are we working with? Why do I have this crown? Is that maybe alluding to something? I don't know, you know, like, but that is a good point. Like, she has a crown in her. I mean, Stella doesn't even have a crown, and we know she's a princess. So, like, the fact that Bloom has a crown, we think that she's still just a little earthling.
Wow.
Hello. Yeah. That is a huge foreshadow report. Like, you know, for later on in the season. Also, Pepe, we get the iconic, you know, hatching of the iconic purple duck Pepe. To your point, I don't know when it was in the 4Kids dub that we get this idea that Pepe is a girl or a boy. I've always assumed that he was a boy. And I'm sure it was because of something that was said in the 4Kids dub, but I can't remember. Also, Bloom and Brandon dance for the first time, and, like, that's the first, like, inkling of, like, a maybe something that we see there, you know, because the guys were not in the second episode at all. We saw them briefly at the end of the first episode, and even in the Right English, like, Bloom and Sky didn't have an interaction. In the 4Kids version, in the first episode, Sky, as they're leaving, yells to Bloom, like, you know, bye, Bloom. I sure hope to see you at Alfea. And then she's kind of like, he, you know, like, whatever. But Yeah, we didn't get that in the right English. So this is truly the first time that we see like Sky, Brandon, quote unquote, is interested in Bloom and like makes it known and makes it a point to seek her out at the dance and like tap her on the shoulder and like ask her to dance. Like it's so magical. And I know that it's basic, but like I love them as a couple in season 1. Like it's so cute getting to see like the little like buddings of like their relationship and like how it forms and stuff. You know, and we won't discuss quite yet what happens later on in this season because drama, but so some fun facts when thinking about like Ray English versus 4Kids versus even the comics. In both the Cinelume and Italian versions, Bloom, and we alluded to this while we were going through the scenes, Bloom uses her powers to cut her dress shorter, but in the 4Kids, she does not do that. I bet 4Kids was worried about kids literally setting their house on fire after watching that.
Also, what I wonder, she wasn't able to change her hair color, but she was able to gather like fire on her finger.
I was literally just thinking that. Yeah, what on earth? Like maybe like that one came more natural to her because in the first episode, Stella is talking to Bloom about how her power is linked to emotion. Shout out Fate the Winx Saga. How her power is linked to emotion and how, you know, like that makes sense why in the park her power is so strong because tensions were so high. Well, maybe she was so panicked, you know, in her rush to try to get ready for the dance that she did like muster enough, you know, emotion, enough power to pew, you know, her little dress. So,
or she was hella angry.
Yeah, that one.
I won't go in pants.
Yes. Freaking scissors. I can do it without scissors. Girl, no, you can't. But something that is very funny is a lot of people have a issue with the 4Kids dub because they take so many liberties from the original story. Well, you know who also takes a lot of liberties from the original story? The comics. So the way that this episode happens in the comics is very, very different. But something that I thought was super funny was, you know, in the scene in the show where they're shopping and the blue dress that Stella offers to pay for that's way too expensive for Bloom to buy, that is the dress in the comic that she's actually wearing in the dance in the ball. There's some slight variations, but it's the same dress.
Yeah, you're right. It has like the necktie.
And the little cutout for the belly button.
Yeah. And Stella's dress is kind of purple.
Yeah, yes.
I also like this color. That would also work. And Bloom is able to sew because her mother taught her.
Yes, and that makes total sense.
Yeah, and in the series she's like not able to do well. I mean, she DIY'd the dress. The only thing she messed up was like shortening it, but
yeah. So that makes sense that Bloom's really crafty and that, you know, she was taught really crafty things living on Earth. Also in the comics, this is not the first time that Bloom transforms. Because the first time that Bloom transforms in the comics is when she was fighting the Tricks in the alley in Magix in episode 2. So just some little, you know, fun bits of information there for you. Some trivia, if you will. But that does it for this episode of Winx Club season 1, episode 3. At the end of every rewatch, we are deciding the Winx Forever moment. What is the most Winx-tastic, quintessential Winx vibes from this episode? Stella, what would you say is yours?
That is so difficult, but for my personal reference, I would go for sure with the scene I saw first, which is where the girls talk about why they're at Alfea. But I think overall, one of my favorite parts would be Bloom's transformation.
Iconic.
And I think somehow the overall shopping moment and getting ready moment.
Yes.
That is so girly. And when you watch it, you feel like you would be part of it and
Absolutely.
you would get ready with your friends.
Yes. I love it.
Yours?
Yeah. So my Winx Forever moment was for sure Bloom's transformation. Like it was, I mean, it has to be, right? Like that is so iconic. You know, here she is being witched up by these Cloud Tower witches and we don't know what's going to happen. And neither does she really until she just finds the courage to find her wings. And it's really cool and just encouraging. So I think that a good runner up though would be all the Winx converging to cast the counter spell on the eggs to stop the witches. I think that is a very good quintessential Winx Forever moment. So yeah, those would be mine. Well, that ends this episode for season 1, episode 3. Stella, thank you so much for coming back on the show. You've got a lot of things going on right now. Like you've got your Encyclomagia posts that you are starting, which is really exciting. You're going through the entire the season 2 and season 3 books of basically a guide to the Winx Club world that there's a bunch of different translations of it and you're translating all of it into English for the fandom, which is such an amazing thing. So what made you think to do that or want to do that?
Oh my God. It's, I think mostly because of my love for the first design of the Winx website from back in the days. I really missed that page because there were so many things you could get to know about the magical dimension.
Yes.
And it always was a dream of mine with my friend Alex from German Cyrenics that we would do a website or a book from A to Z with everything you could possibly get to know about the Winx work, but that would be, of course, way too much. So somehow I thought of I need a starting point. And I have the first version of the Encyclomagia book. Yes. And it's in Italian. And I know there are several different languages they brought out, but not English, which I think is a pity because I think most of the fandom would understand English the best.
Yeah.
So I figured I would start translating everything so we could share it to each other. And I know this book isn't 100% correct, but I think it would be a cute idea to make it achievable for everybody to have somehow a look inside of it.
Yes, I think that too. It was a bucket list of mine to own any copy of it. So I actually owned the season 2 and the season 3, copy of it in French, which I mean, they're used copies, but I cherish them so much. So I am super excited for you to go through them and to translate them. But you also just launched your official Winx Club blog. Welcome to Magix. That's so exciting. Revive the Winx blogs. I'm so excited. And what a perfect name.
Thank you. I feel like websites and blogs in general got so underrated over the years. I feel I just noticed it on myself that social media is so quick and so many information and everyone wants to be the first. And that is so much pressure. So I try to take it down a little bit. And I also created an Instagram account just for the purpose of promoting the actual website.
Yeah.
But not being I don't want to pressure myself into posting every news as the first one to do so.
Absolutely.
But I really want to I want to sit down and write about my collection, about other topics I'm interested in, and also here and there if some news are coming up, I also want to talk about that if I find the time.
And I love that. And I love that because it brings your own unique perspective as a lifelong Winx fan and Winxfluencer, that like you can bring to those conversations and to those topics that you want to talk about. So I am super excited for all of that. So I will link those in the description of the episode below so that you can connect with Fairy Magic, Stella at all the places. So yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun. I love talking to you.
I love talking to you. Wow. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and we will see you guys next week with Cuba016 as we discuss the Black Mud Swamp, basically his favorite episode ever. Just kidding. It's not, but it's still a great episode. So we will see you guys back here next week.
Danke fürs Zuhören. Wenn dir diese Folge vom Winx Forever Podcast gefallen hat, folge oder abonniere die Serie auf deiner bevorzugten Streaming-Plattform, um bei neuen Folgen benachrichtigt zu werden. Werde Teil der Community und folge @WinxForeverPodcast on Social Media. Das Titellied des Podcasts ist She Makes Magic von Big Wild.